And we're live.
Okay, we're live. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. I'll full screen. Okay, really cool. All right, so I guess this is my second go at trying to use this software. So thanks, Megan, for taking the lead a little bit here and trying to use the back end part. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to see so many people joining us this evening. We will take an opportunity to do some introductions so you can get to know us a little bit better. We'll be talking a little bit about our annual plan goals, and we'll be taking a lot of questions and comments, things that you've been hearing, so that we can start taking those back to our student bodies and start doing some advocacy and some work on that. I guess I'll start and introduce myself because I'm going to be talking. I'm Abby. I'm the president of the Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association, and I guess my annual plan goal that I'm most excited about, Alana and I are going to be taking a look at some of the space agreements across campus, trying to figure out how we can better use student space and which student spaces students should have access to. So very excited about that part. We're going to kick that off in the winter term, so it's going to be great. Another thing that I've been working on that has been making me really excited is working with the university on orientation and trying to get more student leadership in orientation and working with our team to improve the student experience as a whole. So excited to be working on that, as orientation is very near and dear to my heart. I'll throw it over to Megan because you are unmuted, so go ahead.
Hello. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Megan. I am the Vice President Education for the Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association. You'll have to pardon me. I'm just finishing up my dinner here because I was getting hungry after work. But in terms of my annual plan goals, one thing that I'm working really hard on right now is how our academics are looking with this mostly online term. So I'd like to point to that little green bubble at the bottom of your screen. That links to our survey platform where you can fill out our survey on teaching and course quality. Honestly, I was really disappointed with how courses are going in the fall. I had hoped they would be significantly better than the spring, but from what I'm hearing, that's not really true. So especially if you're seeing the same thing, please fill out our survey and let us know what you're experiencing so that we can talk to the university about how to make things better, both for this fall term and for the winter term.
Thanks, Megan. Definitely fill out that survey. It's, I think, directly below me, unless I'm the only one who can see that I'm in the middle. It's directly below me. We really take that feedback very seriously and bring that to the university. So please make sure you do it. Beside me here is Alana. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm on the other side of you on my computer, but hi everyone. I'm Alana, and I'm the Vice President of Operations and Finance for this year. Like Abby said, we're going to take a look at student spaces on campus, but one that I'm really excited about is the bomber space, and we're currently working on some architectural designs to show you guys and see what you think about it. So that's probably the most exciting thing for me this year. That's all I had.
Now we're having technical difficulties, but I think she's here now, so let me invite her up.
Yeah, I think I think Nada is in here.
She should be coming.
I just don't see her on the screen. Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, it looks like she has accepted and is connecting.
Perfect. Always technical difficulties these days.
I've seen a couple people in the chat, but do folks want to tell us where they are tuning in from? Are people in Waterloo?
Oh, that would be great.
Abroad? I would love to see where you're at. Oh, We are having some technical glitches. Very sad. Let's see if I can try to invite Nada up again. I'm gonna cancel it and restart.
Megan, while you're working on that, do you want me to take one of the first questions that we have below, and then after that, Nada can introduce herself?
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. So the first question that I'm seeing here is, how will WUSA ensure UW is transparent with their finances since our tuition fees remain the same? Where is our money going? So actually, just as recently as today, I've been having conversations with the university about sharing that information. I'll give you a little bit of a background of how we've been asking for this information. So in the spring term, this actually came up at one of our council meetings. So a counselor brought this forward kind of just as a question about how, if it's possible to find this type of information. So myself and the senator at large, Sabrina, went and talked to some university admin about finding this information. We actually found that a lot of information was available on the website, but then actually at the last meeting of the Committee of Presidents, this actually came up again. People wanted to know a little bit more local information, so by their department or by their faculty on what is happening. I heard that information and I took it to Chris, and we're now actively having conversations with other people within the university who have access to this information and who can make it more accessible to students. So Chris and I will actually be working very closely together to make this information more accessible. And I'll be bringing that again to council and the Committee of Presidents as a follow-up item. And we're hoping to put that up on WUSA's news page as well. So definitely stay tuned. We really want to make this information more available to all of our students.
For those who aren't up on their university admin trivia, who is...
Oh, yes, Chris, sorry. Chris is the Associate Provost Students, and Chris and I work very closely. So a lot of the times when students bring concerns to me, Chris is actually my first touch point within the university, and Chris and I work very closely together to bring those concerns to the appropriate bodies, whether that be Senate or a committee or an individual who is best placed to kind of help me navigate and find that information for students. So Chris is a really good resource for myself in my role.
Awesome.
So Nada, is trying to reconnect. Oh no.
Yeah, Nada's internet has been struggling a little bit recently, so I don't know if we want to move on to the next question, and then
Sure.
Hopefully after that we'll have Nada with us.
Great. Yeah, I can take the next question here. So the next question that I see is, why were the Dean's List requirements changed from 80% to 85% in the middle of a pandemic? I can touch a little bit on that, but Megan, you might also have some information, but I think maybe my answer might work. So the Dean's List actually changes from faculty, and I believe some departments even have some different Dean's List requirements. Because I know I'm in a joint honors program, and I think my Dean's List requirements are a little bit different from both of my program departments. So that being said, I don't really know which faculty or program you're in, but I'd love to help you find this information. There's a really good possibility that this can be found somewhere in Senate minutes. From our Senate or Board of Governors minutes from the last spring term or the winter term when this happened. And I'd love to try to find that information for you to kind of give you more of an understanding, and then reach out to those people who would have made that decision to put it on the agenda to see kind of what the reasoning was there. It might just be that this was a change that was made before the pandemic. I'm not totally sure. So if you want to send me an email at pres@wusa.ca, I can try to find this information and work with you to find that information. I'd be more than happy to do that and scour some minutes to make sure that you are as informed as possible. Another option for you might be to reach out directly to your academic advisor and kind of get an idea of when that information was made available and when that change was made, because it might just be for a specific academic calendar. So there's a variety of reasons why this might have changed, but we want to make sure that you have access to that information, so you have a lot of control over your degree. So definitely reach out to myself at pres@wusa.ca and we'll try to find that for you.
Yeah, I would just second what Abby said. I think that Thomas's reply to this question is pretty apt given the timelines that the university works on. It's likely that this change was approved last year and is based on many years of data with respect to how, I mean, in engineering, we probably call it with distinction and not Dean's List, but how that sort of award is calculated. So yeah, please reach out to us and let us know what faculty and program you're in so that we can look into this a little further for you, because it's kind of hard to answer this question fully without that information.
Yeah, and again, I'd be more than happy to help you out. Sometimes with the academic calendar and the way the academic calendar changes. So when I actually changed majors and actually switched my majors to my first major and my second major, it gets confusing. I actually had to change to a 2019 academic calendar, which changed my requirements for my degree a ton because some courses just weren't offered anymore. Some courses were made optional, some courses were then required, and then percentages changed for my Dean's List slightly. But again, I was able to walk through that with my academic advisor very closely. She was able to provide me with a lot of information about how that worked and why those changes were happening. So I want to make sure that you have that transparency of why those changes were happening. So reach out to me. We can definitely try to find that information and work with yourself and the faculty to make sure that you are as informed as possible on what that change actually means for you and your degree.
Mm-hmm. I think we have Nada now.
Yay! Great. Okay, Nada. So what we did was we introduced ourselves and our position, and then talked a little bit about an annual plan goal that we are excited about, and something that we're looking forward to work on, or some variation of the two.
Uh-oh, Nada, you might be muted.
Not sure if she can hear us.
Can you hear us, Nada?
I don't think she can hear us.
Oh, no. Can you hear us? No. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay. You're muted.
You're muted, Nada. Can you hear us, though? No? Oh, no. Do you want me to take another question while we still work on these technical difficulties?
Sure.
Yeah, that's probably the way to go.
Unless, can someone find out if Nada can unmute? Okay, I'll take another question then.
No, maybe not.
No. I don't know. Okay, so the next question is, I felt dissatisfied with my instructor's direct contributions to my learning this term in relation to tuition costs. How can I voice these opinions in a meaningful way outside of the end of term evaluations? Megan, I'm going to throw this one over to you because I know that you've been working very closely with academics and online learning.
Mm-hmm. So right down here, or possibly down here, I'm not really sure. There is the WUSA survey on teaching and course quality that we're running right now. So this is a great way to give some really tangible feedback to WUSA, which we will then pass on to all the faculty associate deans. And at the end of that survey, there is also an option to link to a second survey where you can voice your concerns about a specific course. So if there's a specific course where you feel like the instructor could be doing more to support your learning, I would definitely encourage you to fill out the survey and then go to that second survey at the end, where you can write down that specific course, and then we'll do our best to share the feedback that we received directly with that instructor, so that very hopefully they can at least make some changes in the fall term, if not improving for the winter term. So that would be my suggestion, is to please fill out our survey and let us know what you're experiencing so that we can work to help you. If you have a specific concern, you can also send me an email at vped@wusa.ca. Oh, I can't type. vped@wusa.ca. If you want me to reach out to your instructor kind of faster than the timeline that we were working on for that survey. So yeah, that was not a strong ending to that question, but that is what it was.
Thank you, Megan. So I guess it's just another opportunity to plug. I think I'm back in the middle again.
Yeah.
Fill out the survey just below me here in the green box. That's one really good way for us to start taking some of this information to the university. And Megan heads up all of that. So we're really, really excited to make sure that students in the winter term and hopefully for the rest of the fall term are getting the quality education they deserve. All right, I'm seeing another question here. So while we're still waiting for Nada and all these technical difficulties, why don't we take the next question? So will the summer 2021 term be online? I know, Megan, you've been talking. Oh, Nada, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to let Megan answer this question, and then Nada, introduce yourself, and I'll tell you again what we've said, because I know you didn't hear me the last time. So Megan, the question again is, will the summer 2021 term be online? So I know that we work very closely with the university, and some of these academic decisions are made first before the university starts figuring out their operations. So you would actually have some of that direct line. So do you want to talk a little bit more about what that's looking like so far in the conversations you've been a part of?
Mm-hmm. So the last thing that I heard was actually about winter 2021. So it seems like the university is still really trying to figure out what the winter term is going to look like. If you wanted to take my best guess, I would speculate that winter 2021 will be primarily online. But one of the key goals of the university as we're switching to remote delivery is that people's academic progression is not delayed. So if there is like some sort of in-person lab or practicum or design project that can only be done in person, some of those have been pushed off by a term or two in order to allow for the pandemic to run its course. But as we spend more and more terms online, I think that we should expect to see the faculties bringing more of those like mandatory in-person activities back on campus so that students' academic progression isn't delayed. So the short answer is we have no idea yet, but given the global pandemic, probably.
Thanks, Megan. I think we lost Nada again.
I think so too.
Or maybe we didn't. Nada, are you still there?
I don't think she is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let us. Now, I wish she introduced herself before this happened. Okay. Well, I see Nada in the corner, and it says mic muted. Nada.
Oh no! Now Alana's go. Oh no, Alana's back.
Oh. Okay. Nada's back. Yay! Okay, Nada. So introduce yourself, your position, and some annual plan goals that you're really excited about for this year.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I'm really sorry about this whole thing. My computer and internet are being amazing this night, so just get right into it. So hi, I'm Nada, and I'm your Vice President Student Life. I'm currently in this weird stage between my 3rd and 4th year of biomedical sciences. And an annual goal that I'm really excited about, I would say I'm really excited about the race-based data goal, especially that we're getting things started on that one with the equity office. So pretty excited to see what comes out of that and to see actual results and accountability from both the university side and from our side. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Thanks, Netta. I hope you don't drop off again. I hope you're here to stay. Okay, so now I guess we'll get back into some of the questions we have. So the next question that I see raised is, can we please have an update on giving students more control over the fees that they pay? Alana, I know that you've spent some time working with some of our students on Students' Council and some of our members at large to work on the fees review. I'm wondering if you could provide people who are on the line with us here some updates on what the fee review process looks like and when we expect to have some information brought to our council.
So you kind of broke up there for me, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying. Let me know if you can't hear what I'm saying. But yes, we are in the process of doing a fee review, which basically means that we're going to assess all of the fees, their optional mandatory status, and whether they should be that way or not. So the first step we're doing is we're taking a survey to certain stakeholders on campus to get their insight on the fees, what they think they be, whether it should be optional or mandatory, just information like that. And then the next step is to get feedback from students on campus, and then hopefully do a large-scale, high-level analysis of what fees are paid, how they should be structured, and whether they should be optional, mandatory, whatnot, just based on all the feedback that we receive. And that's underway right now. I'm hoping that we can get to the student consultation part of that sometime this term.
Thanks, Alana. I think we're all looking forward to learning more about the fee review. I know that there's a link to learn a little bit more on our website. Megan, I don't know if you can pop that in the chat, or yeah, the fee review link that we've been sending around, just to give you an idea of what's going on. Okay. A next question that I see here is, how can members get involved in WUSA's governance? So very exciting. This month, nominations for executive positions, council, and Senate positions are going up on vote.wusa.ca. So we're very excited. There'll be people running for us, or our positions, running for the Senate. So Senate actually works very closely with the university's bodies and committees. So that's a very important role. And then council is more of like our legislative body of WUSA, and they have a lot of control over advocacy, what they listen to their constituents and bring things forward to the executive to action on. So that's a very, very important role within our organization. We really look forward to people getting involved and spending more time with our council. So that's definitely some ways that you can get involved. Obviously, elections are going to look a little different this year. So we do have some tips that we're putting together with our team to give you an idea of how our by-election was run, and some examples of some online campaigns that have been run in the past. Oh, Megan, it looks like Stacy has said, "Hey, typers, can you please mute? I think you're the one typing." Are you?
I am typing. I am clicking.
Okay. Just want to make sure everyone can hear. Other ways to get involved in WUSA's governance: a lot of our committees have at-large membership. Committee membership normally opens up at the May council meeting at the beginning of the governing year, but there's always opportunities to join committees if they're created throughout the year. And we promote a lot of those through our council mailing list and out through our constituency societies. So that's definitely one way to get involved, is to reach out to your society and see if there are any opportunities available there, or if they know of any opportunities available at WUSA. Leads and on our website, wusa.ca/opportunities, gives you an idea of some of the jobs and opportunities available within our governance, because our commissioner roles that sometimes pop up as created by Students' Council, go up on Leads and on our website as well. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved in our governance structures. It looks like there's also a question about running for positions during COVID and modifications WUSA is making. So we actually worked with some of our students during the by-election and got some ideas of ways that they ran their campaigns and kind of learned from some of the mistakes and some of the things that we've tried out. So we're working with our staff and our new elections staff. So we have 2 student staff who are working in elections. We're going to be coming up with some tips and best practices that will be shared with the candidates at the all candidates meeting before the elections process starts. But again, if you have any tips or how you like to get your information and you want to share that with our elections team, you can email elections@wusa.ca. We'd be more than happy to take some of your thoughts as well as our own. I'm just waiting for another question here. Okay, so the next question is university and faculty wide change applicable to all undergrad calendars. Is there a way to petition against this change? What can WUSA do? It causes stress for 4A students. Let me just open this link here. I just need to take a look here. These awards of excellence. Oh, so this is a follow-up question from, okay, sorry, I was a little confused for a second. So this is a follow-up question from the dean's list here. So this is under the Faculty of Engineering.
I guess to directly answer your question, I don't think that there is an existing process to petition against this change applying to students graduating in 2021. But we might be able to talk about delaying the implementation for a year, like especially for our students who are currently graduating. It looks like this is something that went to Senate undergrad committee, which would be my domain. So let me make a note of this to bring up with the university's Associate Vice President Academic to see kind of how long this change has been public for and if there's anything that WUSA can do to have it not affect students graduating in 2021. It would certainly have to be a resolution of Senate undergrad again, but like you've so aptly pointed out, given the current climate with the pandemic, it is a fair point that if students didn't have a lot of notice about this change, it's not really fair for the goalposts to have moved at this point in the game.
That's a really good point, Megan. And as I mentioned earlier, I'd love to also help support our students. So if there's anything, Megan, that arises from that you need some extra support on, I'd be happy to work with you and the students who brought this forward. Just remember to send us emails. So mine's pres@wusa.ca and Megan's is vped@wusa.ca. All right, are we ready for another question? Yeah, okay, cool. So the next question is, any updates on the efforts regarding a referendum on making raise and other fees optional, both from Students' Council and otherwise? Megan, do you want to take this one? And then Alana, I'll ask you to just touch again on the fee review and how that process kind of works.
Mm-hmm. So obviously we've heard a lot of feedback from students regarding raise. So the executive received honestly a deluge of emails, both from students who were really supportive of raise and felt that it had a really positive impact on their undergraduate experience, and from students who were concerned about the fee structure and how their money going to raise was being spent. So At the present time, your elected representatives, so that being us as well as all of your counselors, haven't received conclusive feedback that points to students wanting the fee to go one way or another. So we're trying to take our time here and doing the fee review that Alana is working on and keeping in constant communication with our constituents to make sure that we make a choice that is both well measured and represents the feelings of many students. So I think that's kind of where it's at, and I'll pass it over to Alana to talk about how the fee review is going to answer that question as well. Alana?
Alana, can you hear us?
I can barely hear anything.
Uh-oh. It sounds like Alana's internet is being a little troublesome. So maybe I'll do my best to elaborate on the fee review. So the way that the fee review is being structured is to include lots of student consultation. So the reason why the fee review exists is under the Students' Choice Initiative that was initiated by the provincial government and then struck down by the courts. The provincial government was mandating certain fees be mandatory, that being students had to pay them, and certain types of fees mandated to be optional, so students didn't have to pay them. So fees that were related to student safety and academic success, so for example, a lot of the peer support that RAISE provides was considered to be mandatory under the government's framework. And in the absence of the government's framework, we've basically kept our fees the same as they were under the Students' Choice Initiative. So the fee review aims to get really broad and deep student feedback on students' fees to see what students understand as a valuable service that should be mandatory and what students might prefer would be optional, as well as how we're dividing our fees so that students have a choice over what fees they want to pay. So myself not being the Vice President Operations and Finance, that's kind of an overview of what the fee review is going to be about. And like Alana said, we're hoping to start to gather some of that feedback towards the end of the fall term. So definitely keep an eye on your inboxes and your social media for our calls for survey feedback and focus group feedback on the fee review.
And I guess I'll also kind of jump on that one as well. And there was in the question here, it said like how it asked in a way, how is Students' Council involved in that? So Students' Council would actually have that final say and would be able to kind of help direct the executive to make those decisions to take to the university. So if you do want to provide us some more feedback and you want to provide that to ourselves, I would also recommend providing that feedback to your counselors so that they know how to vote once we have a final report with that information. Your counselors actually have a lot of say and a lot of opportunity to provide your feedback that you bring to them to us, either at the time that we bring them a final product or leading up to the final product as part of that process. So please make sure that you're also reaching out to your counselors to voice your opinion and your concerns, because that's a really good outlet for us as well to collect constituency feedback.
I'm seeing a follow-up question here, which is that can you assure us that the data from the survey will be released for transparency? So the data from our surveys is completely anonymized. So I'm not sure that it's worth our while to put all of that on our website. We'll certainly have a summary published out. But if you are interested in receiving the data from the survey, I would definitely encourage you to email us at exec@wusa.ca when the time comes, and we can talk about that for sure.
I'll also say that this is a full report as well. So I'm sure that there'll be some summary of the data available to Students' Council, and all information provided to our Students' Council is public information. So you're welcome to find a lot of that information available on our website, either under wusa.ca/library, which is where we store a lot of reports that we've put together, or as part of council packages on wusa.ca/student-bodies-student-council, I think is how you get there. It's crazy that I did that off the top of my head, but Megan can put it in the chat, so it's easier for you to click because you can't click on my words. But that's where we store a lot of our minutes and agendas from student council meetings. So you can definitely find some of those attachments there. And if you would like to join our council mailing list, you can also do so by following the link that Megan's going to provide in the chat. And that will kind of give you that first peek into some of that information. Anyone is welcome to join our council mailing list. Again, all the information that goes to council is public. Okay, I'm waiting for someone to tell me that there's another question.
I don't think we have any other questions right now. It's a quiet bunch this evening.
Wow, no more questions. Okay, well, I guess maybe we should have an opportunity to talk a little bit about maybe some more of our annual plan goals and what we've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Nada, you didn't get an opportunity to answer a lot of those questions. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about some of the annual plan goals that you're working on and some of the areas that you're really excited about. Maybe the club's portal?
Yeah, definitely. So we, in conjunction with the IT department, are working on getting an updated version of the club's admin system kind of put together so we can, I guess, see what needs to be put on there in order for it to be ready for students. But I'm really happy with where things are going on that end, because again, referring back to our annual plan and that particular goal about effective club support, it would really be helpful to have I'm going to call it a portal for now, but a portal where all the club's resources are on there so that club executives have kind of an easier time to hold events and get the support that they need. So that's one exciting thing. Another thing that I'm currently working on is the services review, which was basically approved through the Students' Council. So pretty exciting. And I would expect that we'd be putting out some sort of survey to our student body in the next coming weeks, just so we can hear from you how your experience has been with some of our services. So that's also something exciting, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, along with a lot of other exciting stuff and actions, but I would say that those two are the main things right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the wins that we've had this year so far. Sometimes during a pandemic, it's, I'm not sure anybody before us can relate to this. So during the pandemic, it's really hard to find wins because every day kind of blends into the next. And it feels like we're kind of, well, just to put it bluntly, it sucks being online. I don't think anybody anticipated this, and a lot of people are really struggling with the online format, and we've been hearing that a lot from our students. So sometimes it's hard to find wins when all around you there's a lot of losses. So I'm wondering if any of the executive wanted to talk a little bit more about some of those wins that we've been able to see this year and some of the work that we've done. I know, Megan, you've been doing a lot with our external advocacy organizations. So that's the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance and the Undergraduates of Research Intensive Universities.
Canadian Research.
Anyways, Megan, you've been doing a lot of work with our external organizations. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about what that looks like. And then maybe actually for those who are on the call who are not familiar with our external organizations, maybe you can give them a bit of a rundown of what it means to be in an external advocacy organization, what that means for them.
Yeah, okay, I guess I'll start with that rundown. So WUSA, the Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association, is a part of two external advocacy organizations, the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance, which is pronounced USA, not to be confused with WUSA, and the undergraduates of Canadian Research Intensive Universities, or UCRU. So USA obviously operates on a provincial level, while UCRU operates on a federal level. So we've actually had two super exciting announcements in both the federal and the provincial sphere this week. So on the federal side, we got the very, very welcome news that international students are now more easily able to get back into Canada as long as they have a 14-day quarantine plan, when previously the government was only allowing international students to return to Canada if it was kind of essential for their studies that they be here. So this was something that UCRU had been thinking a lot about and working really hard on. We had written a couple letters to Minister Mendicino's office, and I'm going to get this wrong, but I think Minister Mendicino is the Minister of Immigration. I'm going to Google this while I keep talking. So that was really in line with things that we were asking for. So really great to hear that one. And then the second thing was Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship. So the minister that is responsible for all things related to international students. And then the second milestone that we had this week was from the provincial government. So the provincial government announced a multi-million-dollar investment in post-secondary students' mental health, which included a $3 million increase from their investment last year. And this included investments in programs like mental health grants that are available to institutions. So our own campus wellness would be able to apply for these grants to improve mental health services on campus, as well as an investment in some research and knowledge sharing through another provincial organization that we were asking for through our work with the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance. So it's been a really exciting week for external advocacy. And as we're ramping up for our student advocacy weeks in November, where we'll be meeting with, I think UCRU met with 75 politicians last year, and USA would have been similar. So expect me to be in an ungodly number of meetings in November, but there we'll have the opportunity to talk to government about the things that students really need right now, especially related to COVID-19. I guess speaking of that, Abby, do you want to give us some highlights from the speech that you gave to the Minister of Finance last week?
I would love to. I was actually going to jump in because when you started talking about that 14-day quarantine plan, I actually had a lot of really good opportunities to speak with the university while they were creating the university's plan for welcoming international students back. So that was really, really great for me. And I felt really thankful for the counselors and at-large members at the August and July council meeting that brought forward a lot of information about concerns that international students were feeling about the fall term. And that actually guided a lot of the conversations that I had with university administration about their plans and how long those plans would take and when students would be able to hear from the university. So there is actually all that information available on the university's website. I actually don't know that URL off by heart, Megan. So if you wanted to pull up the information about the university's travel plan, I think it's like international student supports under the COVID-19 page. That would be really, really helpful. If not, I will be sending an email to the council mailing list this evening. So another plug to join the council mailing list to see some more information. Again, I do want to quickly touch on some of the conversations that I actually got to have last week with the Ontario Minister of Finance. It was really, like for WUSA, it was really wonderful to be invited and be able to provide some information about supporting our students. So I actually, I had multiple topics that I brought forward, but one of the topics that we touched on was international student tuition regulation, because kind of going back to some of the questions that we've even received tonight about Waterloo's like finance transparency and what are we paying for. Our universities need more support, not just Waterloo, but across Ontario, more support from the government. Our international students also need support from the government. It's really important that the provincial government understands the value that international students bring to our province. I can't remember the statistics off the top of my head, but international students hold, I believe it's like 54 1,000 jobs in our province, which I believe, Megan, if you can just double check the numbers for me, because I'm going off some muscle memory here. It's 4.4 billion. Was that the number to the economy? So if the province isn't fully understanding the importance of our international students and making sure that we are still competitive and able to bring our international students here and give them quality education at a price that is very reasonable for them to come to our province, then if they can't provide that, then international students are not going to come here. And we won't be able to receive the benefits of having international students join us. So that was one of the main areas that I focused a lot on. We also focused on more supports for student financial aid. We focused on, talked a little bit about mental health supports and work integrated learning, trying to get the province to invest more in the Work Ready program. And I believe there was one more point, and it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't quite remember the last point that I got to. But when it comes to me, I'll say it. But
institutional funding.
Yes, institutional funding. Thank you. That kind of bled really nicely into the support for regulating international student tuition, because institutional funding, the province used to really support post-secondary institutions, but now a lot of that cost burden is going on to the student. One of the ways to address that is to have the province invest more in our post-secondary institutions, so that burden isn't being shifted onto the students to support institutions. So that was one of the big pushes that we asked for, and we're really hoping that the province hears us and hears these concerns, and we'll actually be submitting some of the words that I presented, but more information about those asks. We'll be submitting that in a written report to the minister, Minister Phillips. So we were really, I think WUSA was very lucky to be able to be part of those discussions and part of those talks. And I think that's really showing that our members of provincial parliament, when they come to the Waterloo region, they're seeing WUSA as a very important stakeholder to speak on behalf of Waterloo students. So that was really nice. That was really nice to see and wonderful to be a part of. Another thing that came out of that I got to learn a lot about, that Megan and I are starting to have some conversations about, the region is really pushing for all-day two-way GO service to Toronto. So we actually think that will be incredibly beneficial for our students. So we're going to start joining, that would be Guelph, Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge, and the surrounding areas in their fight for all-day two-way GO. It looks like the minister was very impressed, and actually I did a tally, and about 12 separate presentations brought that up. So I think with the amount of push that's happening, we'll be able to kind of jump on that, and Megan will be taking on a lot of that more transportation advocacy as well with her associate vice president. So very exciting for WUSA to be seen as a very important partner in some of those talks.
Yeah, that's something that my Associate Vice President Government Affairs has been working really hard on. We actually just sent a letter to Minister Mulroney, who's the Minister of Transportation for Ontario, because the kind of plan has already been approved. We're just sort of waiting for that funding to come down the pipeline. And especially for Waterloo students, I think it would be really great to be able to live in the Waterloo region and commute down to Toronto for a co-op term. So to save yourself the trouble of subletting your place and paying super duper expensive rent in Toronto. So that is something I'm really hopeful that we'll see some movement on soon.
Yeah, actually, when I was talking to a friend of mine about the all-way two-day GO, and kind of making a little bit of a joke about how you could probably turn it into a game every single time someone said all day two-way GO. So I was bringing that up and making a little bit of a joke, and they were like, actually, that would have been really beneficial for me when I was living in Mississauga on my co-op term, because I was coming back and forth between the Waterloo region and Mississauga to visit my friends and be part of campus activities, when I could have just lived in the Waterloo region and commuted every morning. So that was something that I kind of noticed right away, that's a really important conversation for us to be a part of. So I'm excited that we're able to start taking on that advocacy. I'd love for more people to be able to stay in the Waterloo region during their co-op terms. because then they engage more with the activities that they enjoy and they're close to their friends, which is something you always miss when you're on a co-op term. I know that I missed being with my friends when I was on a co-op term outside of the Waterloo region.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It looks like we still don't have a question coming in. So I wonder, given that the general elections are coming up, do we want to talk about maybe our favorite part of being an exec? Or I know a couple of us were counselors in the past, our favorite part of being a student counselor, to kind of give people a taste of what they might have if they run for one of these positions?
Sure. I know Alana keeps dropping off, and Nada, a lot of the questions haven't been directed to you. So why don't you talk a little bit about something that you've enjoyed being in this position? Maybe like a quick pitch for the VPSL.
Yeah, so something that I was told before I decided to run for VPSL was that you can really make this position what you want it to be. So I wanted it to be very student facing, but then COVID came and I was like, okay, fine. It's not going to be actual student facing. It's going to be virtual student facing. So that's what I tried to kind of adapt to. And I would say that, yes, the best thing about this position is that I get to interact with a lot of students. Obviously, not firsthand most of the time, because that's not what the job entails usually. But that's mainly what kind of drove me to run in the first place. So yeah, there you have it.
Now, Megan, you were actually a counselor last year. Do you want to talk a little bit about the counselor experience and what you enjoyed?
Sure. I was actually a counselor director, so I was elected to Students' Council, and then I also ran to be a director for the organization, so kind of double timing that last year. I think one of the best parts of that experience for me was when I had the opportunity to write our policy on exam scheduling and what's the word? Exam scheduling and exam accommodations. Gosh, I can't remember what the policy I wrote is titled. But essentially the policy talked about like some of the concerns that students have with how exams are scheduled right now and how exams can be back to back and how the accommodations that you're given, if you seek an accommodation, aren't really enough to deal with those kind of back-to-back situations. So that was really neat for me, partially because I'm a policy nerd, but partially because I really had the opportunity to connect with students and get feedback from our committees and from Students' Council when I was developing that policy. And now as Vice President of Education, that policy is actually something that I can advocate on. Oh, thank you, Nada. Exam scheduling and relief. That's what the accommodations are called. So that was probably the coolest part about being a counselor for me, on top of just kind of representing my constituents' views at Students' Council. But to answer the other part of the question about being executive is I think that some of the most exciting things for me as an executive are when students' voices actually get heard and get acted upon. So whether that's from government or from the university, like some of those milestones I was talking about earlier, even though change happens really slow, and that was something that my predecessor actually worked to advocate for, I'm really excited to see the year progress, and even next year after I'm gone, see what the government is doing in response to what we are telling them right now.
And I guess kind of building on what you both said about being an executive, something that I was really looking forward to in this job and have been enjoying is the ability to work with other passionate student leaders. Mm-hmm. So I want to actually talk a little bit about my experience this year as a student senator, because as part of my job, I get to sit on the university senate and some university bodies. And at first I was actually really, really nervous about it. It feels like you're one student in a sea of faculty, staff, alumni, who are all like 20 years older, if more older than you. And it's even scarier if you're coming into that role and you're online. So you haven't even had an opportunity to kind of meet and know who your allies are and know who you can talk to and ask questions. So I was actually really nervous at first about being on the University Senate because I honestly didn't even know what to expect. But something that I've actually really enjoyed is the partnership that I've built with our undergraduate caucus. So for those of you who don't know, there's actually with myself on the Senate, there are 2 at-large members and 1 member for each faculty to represent students on the Senate. So I've actually got an opportunity to work very closely with all of those students. And in past years, our undergraduate senators haven't had a lot of opportunity to connect and work with each other and develop together. And I kind of took it upon myself this year to make sure that our caucus is really united and has an opportunity to speak with each other and share ideas and reflect and connect. And I've been taking that really seriously and been really enjoying it. And actually at the last meeting, there was a decision that came up and there wasn't enough undergraduate student voices. So all members of the undergraduate student caucus decided that we were going to let the university know that we didn't appreciate not having undergraduate consultation on some university decisions. And actually now the university has even taken some items off future agendas because they've realized they didn't have enough undergraduate consultation. And the Faculty of Applied Health Science is now doing undergraduate town halls. So you kind of really feel the, I guess, the way that your voice as a student and the united voice of students when we're not separated can make a really big change on a university body when something is brought forward. So that's something that I've been really enjoying about being a senator, is even though sometimes it can be really terrifying to be on such a large university body, you do get the benefit of sometimes you get to pat yourself on the back because you've actually made a difference on campus. And I really hope to bring more issues from students to Senate and ask some more questions to make sure that the university understands that student voices, even though we're online and we're all around the world, are still here and are still paying attention. So that's kind of something that I've really enjoyed. So I actually highly recommend being a senator. But again, very scary. But if you want to come and talk to me about it, I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the ways that I've been able to prepare for Senate meetings, what they're like, how long they are. I'd be happy to set up a meeting and have a conversation about it. So email me at pres@wusa.ca. We'd love to get you on the undergraduate caucus. It's a very fun place to be. And if there are any senators on the call, please back me up and tell everyone how much fun you've been having being an undergraduate senator, because we've really been having a blast.
I don't think there are any undergraduate senators on the call, Abby, unfortunately.
Well, I can dream a little bit that the undergraduate senators came and joined me.
Okay.
Any future undergraduate senators on the call?
Alana is very hopeful about her internet. So maybe, Alana, do you want to just talk with your microphone off and tell us, or sorry, talk with your video off is what I meant to say. Don't talk with your microphone off. That wouldn't work very well. And talk about what you're enjoying as exec.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I good?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So I ran for an exec because I've been involved with WUSA for about 5 years now, and it has really impacted my life in really positive ways. I started out as a host at Bomber that would work 2 shifts a week, and then I just kind of had the opportunities to move up and really contribute significantly. And I ran because I would like to make it so that a lot of students have that experience on campus with us and really get to know WUSA and be involved in all the different parts. So yeah, that's why I ran, and that's kind of my focus this year, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
Okay, well, I'm glad that was able to work, that Alana was able to jump on. Okay. Does that mean that Elena's still like down in the corner? So if I call on her again, she'll be able to speak?
You're just with her microphone and video off. Did you hear me? Uh-oh.
Oh no. I mean, I guess that it's good that she was able to provide a little bit more information. Oh, you're here. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I'm trying to mediate the internet issues right now.
Yeah.
So I turned off the video.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience have a question for us, or like even a topic that you want to talk about? We also have the capacity to invite someone up here to join us. So if anyone has something that they're really interested in chatting about with your execs, maybe throw that in the chat.
Megan, I don't know how that feature works, so you're gonna have to.
I will.
take
I
it
will.
on.
Don't worry. You know who I see in the audience?
Oh.
I see John Hunt, who is one of the speakers and deputy speakers. And I am wondering, since John has been on council and board for like the last 3 years, if he would like to come up here and talk about his experience with that. Huh?
John? I guess this would also be a good opportunity if John did want to come up. He can talk a little bit more about not only being involved with WUSA, but being involved with societies, because John has been really involved in MassOc for the last few years. And that's also another really good way to get involved and share your thoughts too. We work very closely with these societies. So I guess if you were on the call very, very early, I talked a little bit about the Committee of Presidents, which is a committee that I work with, is a Committee of Students Council. That's a collection of our society presidents, and they actually bring me concerns from their council. We decide if they go on the council agenda. We have conversations about next steps and what should be brought to the university. So even being involved in your society is a really good way to bring forward some of your concerns, because your representatives on your society, they come and meet with me personally, but they also have seats, representative seats on our Students' Council, where they can bring forward any concerns you have too. So there's there's actually so many ways that you can be involved and bring forward advocacy and concerns that you have to the executive and to WUSA as a whole. So that's another great reason. So if John is up here, is he coming up?
Do you
Okay,
have
cool.
John? Or
I'm here.
Audio is okay too.
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
We can.
I can, yeah.
All right. No, I can't turn on my video because I actually don't have a camera. If any of you guys want to buy me one, that I can do that. But no, I have been involved with WUSA for 2 years and MathSoc for a year before that. So I got involved in MathSoc like halfway through my second year. I suddenly had a bunch of free time in my life, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to spend that doing fun things like MathSoc. And realizing how fun MathSoc was, I said, all right, well, let me get involved with WUSA and start getting some stuff done. I have had the great opportunity to express my dissatisfaction to the Faculty of Math on several things. I have some more spicy things I'm going to be bringing up at the next council meeting. So if you want to be a counselor, that is definitely something you can do. It's a great experience, and you can have a lot of fun. I don't know what else you guys want me to talk about.
I just wanted to say, John, you brought up a point about how counselors actually bring things to council to bring to the executive, or to gain a consensus from the council on how the organization should move forward. So I guess I just wanted to kind of also say that I've had the opportunity to work very closely with John. John is actually my deputy speaker on council. John and I sit on the board of directors together. And John has been saying that he's bringing spicy things to council, but I do want to say that a lot of our councilors meet directly with executives as it relates to their portfolio to bring forward and try to figure out the best way to approach different situations. So I always use the example of, like, I know this isn't a real advocacy objective, but if you say WUSA is pro petting bunnies, is what I always say. So WUSA is very pro petting bunnies, and John has noticed that WUSA actually doesn't have a stance at all on petting bunnies, but John wants council to put a stamp of approval on petting bunnies. So John might bring that to me or to Megan because he knows that Megan has been working very closely with petting bunnies.
I have an amendment to the stance.
Yes.
Petting bunnies with their consent. It's
Yes,
always
very true.
Read the nonverbal cues of the bunnies, and if they want to be petted, if they don't want to be petted right now, that's okay too.
And Megan, that actually brings up a really good example. So if John came and said, I want us to be pro petting bunnies, and he brought it to Megan, Megan could say, actually, what if we were pro petting bunnies and this? Or actually, here's some of the work that I've been working on in regards to petting bunnies. So maybe this is more the way we're supposed to be having a conversation. So a lot of the conversations that we have with counselors end up being just really wonderful. And John says he's bringing spicy things, but I'm sure that we'll have an opportunity to chat about this spice.
Well, it's only going to Math Socks Council. We tend to do things.
Okay.
I'm not bringing spicy things to WUSA's council. No, Math Sock tends to be a little more action packed than WUSA can be. It's more to do with my program of actuarial science. That doesn't need to come up to WUSA.
Gotcha.
No, it doesn't. But if it's an issue that affects all undergraduate students, then John and MassSoc might make a decision to bring that to WUSA Council, and then we'll be able to have a conversation about it. So you might be noticing that a lot of work gets done at WUSA Council, and that's probably why you should be reaching out to your counselor to give them your opinion on how we should be moving forward and what should be going on in WUSA and how we can better support you. Would you say that that's correct, John, that counselors are pretty cool and have a lot of opportunities to
I think
share
counselors
their
are the
opinions?
coolest people around.
I'm quite certain.
Okay, yeah, sure. If that's what you want to believe, John.
Second to executives.
No, I think counselors are cooler than the executive. If I'm looking at the structure of the organization,
That's a
I
fair
think
point.
counselors are much cooler.
But then that means that students are the coolest.
Students are the coolest, yes.
Because
So
students
the executive would
that WUSA does.
like students are the coolest, and then counselors, and then the executive. But I'd also put counselors and the societies, because as I mentioned earlier, societies do have a lot of opportunities to bring forward concerns from their constituencies. So John just mentioned that MassSoc is going to be having a conversation about some pretty spicy topics. And those conversations might come to me at the Committee of Presidents or come to the council floor through representative reports. So a lot of opportunities to bring forward some of your concerns through your elected representatives at your society level and at council.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my dean's got an email from me forwarded to him already.
Very spicy, John.
Given how much fun John is having here, does anyone else in the audience want to join us and have a chat about how they're involved in the university community or issues that are affecting them right now? Oh my gosh, I have so many notifications. Can't even see the chat.
It just says that John says that John is cool. Thanks, Cannon. Does that mean that, or thanks, John. Sorry, thanks, John. John is cool. Does that mean that Cannon wants to come up on the screen, or? Somebody asked us a question.
All I want is a question. Let me come
Last time someone asked us like questions like, I think somebody asked us like,
did we get asked about pineapple?
Like super
pudding?
salad.
Super salad. Yeah, someone asked us about super salad.
Well, I have a question.
Of course, Nada.
What do you call a spider with 2 legs?
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
Oh, I didn't realize it was going to be that obvious because I thought about it and I'm
Exactly.
like, nah, there's no way.
See, I'm a dad joke enthusiast. So if you want other questions,
Oh,
I'll give you other
I think I
questions.
see
But
a
it seems
question.
like we
Do I
have a
see a
question.
question? Yay!
Yeah.
So the question is, what happens during reading week? I'm not really sure, like, do you mean like for you as a student? Do you mean like what do we do during reading week?
You
What?
get to relax as a student.
Yeah, so we actually had a super interesting conversation the other day with, I believe it was the Student Success Office about Reading
did.
Week, some of the outcomes of Reading Week. And I basically was like, what's the goal of Reading Week? And the goal as dictated by the Student Success Office is really whatever students need in order to kind of refresh and recharge, whether that's taking a complete break from school, catching up on school, getting ahead on school. So I would say that's what happens during Reading Week. On the like nerdy undergraduate calendar side of things, the Reading Week is a scheduled academic pause, which essentially means that you can't have assessments during the break. So that is what happens during Reading Week. For non-students, like for some of our services, a lot of the services, at least the ones that are running right now in light of COVID, still run during Reading Week. So if you are looking to access some peer support or come into the SLC and study.
Megan, Nada has her hand up, which means there might be a bit of a COVID change to some of our regular scheduled programming. You might be talking about some pre-COVID programming. So why don't we let Nada talk a little bit about our services and what's available on campus?
So for our services, they're still going to be offering online peer support. And for the 5 services who are offering in-person office hours, they will most likely be closed for in-person hours, but they will still be available online. So if at any point in time you need to reach out to anyone, you are more than welcome to reach out to them because they will still be operating during the reading week. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
So I was right. You can access peer support. You can reach out to the Student Success Office. You can
come. I just wanted to make sure. Nada was like, I have something to add. So I wanted to make sure that we were giving out the right information. I guess one other thing that I will say that kind of came out from that conversation that Megan was referencing. One thing I do want to say about the Fall Reading Week is the Fall Reading Week was made possible through referendum. It was actually part of Fed's, now WUSA's advocacy. And this is another opportunity for us to have some more say and bring forward some student concerns surrounding the Reading Week. So some of the concerns that Megan actually brought up in that meeting, and you can speak a little more to, Megan, if you would like, is that some students have been feeling like a lot of their assessments had been kind of dumped either right at the end of the reading week or right before. And then that's kind of how WUSA can continue our advocacy around the fall reading break. So if you kind of wanted to know, like, what are our next steps as an organization with fall reading break now that it exists, it's to continue to work with the university to evaluate it and hear student concerns surrounding the fall reading break so that we can take those forward to the university and they can start using that as part of their evaluation. Now, the university will survey you, so make sure that you're looking out for that survey, because that survey actually helps guide how the fall break should be structured, because this is still kind of the second phase of their pilot project to gather some information about how we should be moving forward with the fall break and what's most beneficial for students. So make sure you're looking out for those surveys too, because the university does collect that information and helps guide the decisions that they make, specifically at some university bodies like Senate and the Board of Governors. Yeah. Are there more questions? Because we'd love to take more questions. We have 15 minutes and I want to answer more questions.
I think we have another question, Abby. It is, when will the SLC expansion be done?
Oh, can I take this one?
Go for it.
So as part of my role, I've actually been working, and Alana actually as well too, we've been working really closely with a lot of our partners at the university who are helping us kind of walk through this project. So actually the executive had an opportunity to go through the SLC PAC expansion. So some quick updates: the roof is done and the third floor is complete, as well as the flex area. The flex dining space that's right outside of Brewbakers in the Student Life Center. That's done. And actually, I've been seeing a lot of students studying in that area. So it's really cool to see students actually using the space. There are some dates that we've been given for final completion. I don't want to say them because I don't want to jinx it. So the dates that we've been given is January. It will be complete. Or at least be finishing up installing some of the furniture. We're kind of having some final conversations on the furniture now. So we know that it's close to the end, and we're really looking forward to it being completely done. The fact that the roof is done and all that kind of jazz means that we're in the final stages, and a lot of the work can be done throughout the winter because there's no more ceiling and I guess no more weather to have to worry about. So a lot of the work is going to be done inside. So fingers crossed for January. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm going to knock on all of the wood around me. Everyone else do the same. But that's kind of the dates that we've been given so far. So it's really exciting. It sucks that we can't all be on campus to experience it right when it opens. But I mean, with this hybrid model that the university is doing, where you actually still can go onto campus and access study space, just with some of the restrictions and the social distancing measures that have been put into place, we're hoping that we'll be able to see students accessing that space. But again, we'll have to go through some protocol with the university and the safety office to make sure that we can best protect our students over the winter term. So stay tuned for that, but hopefully we'll be able to get you all in that building as soon as possible. Any other questions? Megan, do you see anything?
I don't see anything. I wonder if no one else has anything that we want to add, if we should just wrap up a little bit early. I know I'm a little excited to wind down for the evening, and I think the execs have probably had a long day. So I guess we could give like a last call for questions. Oh,
I think I see something, Megan, maybe? I think I saw it in your face. You were just like...
Yeah. So the question just says, Fed Hall?
Oh, can I take this one as well? Or maybe Alana wants to take it and talk a little bit more, because this is actually a annual plan goal that Alana is working on too. So at the beginning of this call, if you were around, I did mention that Alana and I will kind of be taking a look at some of the space agreements across campus. But I'll let Alana talk a little bit more about the Fed Hall specifically, because I know it's something she's really excited about.
Hi, yes. I don't know if the person asking this question knew or not, but for everybody else, last year council mandated the executive to take a look at the Fed Hall agreement and the entire situation surrounding that, which includes the possibility of a referendum on like how the space is used. I know that a lot of student groups don't find the space accessible, which we would tend to agree with. So part of my plan for the year is to discuss with the university and take a look at that agreement so that we can, come to a good conclusion, because I feel like I hate that our student groups have to look off campus for spaces to have events, and I am really, really passionate about solving that issue.
Then we've left it in good hands, Alana. So I'm excited that you have an opportunity to work on that. I guess I'll just also use this as an opportunity to highlight kind of how that decision came to be. So that was actually brought up at a fall meeting last year. The Mathematics Caucus brought that forward as something that arose out of one of their council meetings. So again, this is another really good example of how our constituency societies and our counselors brought something forward to the executive. And now we've had an opportunity to talk with the university and have some conversations with our student body more holistically about what they want to see of these spaces and what their thoughts are. So having our counselors and our members of our societies bring forward these concerns that students have is really important to the way that the executives are able to address concerns. So just going to use that as another plug to contact your counselor, contact your societies if there's something related to your faculty. Your elected representatives really do want to make campus a better place for you, and we're willing to work together to do it. So just another example of that great council advocacy that's happening on our campus.
I would also like to just say that if anybody has any opinions or insight or ideas on student spaces on campus, please email me at vpof@wusa.ca. I would love to have some student insight on that so that when we take some action, I know that that's really what you guys want. Obviously, we'll do some student consultations, but if anybody has any opinions or insight, please feel free to email me. I would love to get that.
And Alana, looking at all of these space agreements and making decisions about spaces on campus, that's a pretty big job. Do you have any, I don't know, committees that help you and that you talk to? Is that maybe some way that someone could get involved and be a part of that decision-making process?
Yeah, for sure. Right now we have the Planning Student Spaces and Works Committee, but most likely in terms of just like student input, that's really what's going to matter here. So moving forward, we are going to look for some consultation and insight from all of the students, and we would love if anybody wanted to get involved.
So a lot of WUSA's committees, so just doing another plug, a lot of WUSA's committees have counselors, directors, at-large members that are elected by our Students' Council to serve on those committees. So if there's something that you're really passionate about, whether that be student spaces, policy, our endowment funds, things like that, there's definitely a committee that you can work with to have more of an opportunity to bring forward some of those student concerns that you've been hearing, or maybe you're just genuinely interested in being part of the process and maybe you love report writing. And if you do, we would love to have you. These are some really great ways to get involved and kind of leave your mark on some student experience. So definitely take a look at our website. We'll be getting some of those more job description-y, terms of reference-y things up closer to May, that the new governing year, when we start to look for people to fill those positions. So look out for that. You can also find all of the terms of references for our committees of Students' Council in our council procedures. If you wanted to take a look over that lengthy document, that's one place where you can find it, or you can email me at pres@wusa.ca or at speaker@wusa.ca, and I'd be happy to give you more information about the different committees that report to our Students' Council. See, more ways to get involved. See, everything can be a segue into ways to get involved if you try hard enough.
I guess as we're wrapping up here, I would just want to say one more time, hit that green button, or possibly it's over here. Abby can definitively point to the green button to fill out our survey on teaching and course quality. This is a major initiative that I'm working on this term because I know that learning online is really difficult, and we want to hear what you're experiencing so we can try to make it better.
Yeah, and going back to kind of the question of will spring 2021 be online? We don't know, but we want to make sure that your online experience, no matter how long we're in this hall for, is the best that it can be, because one of our kind of pillars of understanding and that we really fight for is quality education for our students. So we really want to make sure that that's really driven, like really out there for the university to see and try to drive it home that we should be providing the best education for our students as possible. So please make sure you fill out that survey, because that's one way that we can deliver that information. If no one fills out the survey, then we're just going to believe that everything is fine. And we don't want the university to think that.
Feel like everything's not fine.
Because everything is not fine. But if you don't tell us, then we don't know. So fill out the survey.
Okay, well, thank you everyone very much for joining us. I will put our email one last time in the chat. We can be reached at exec@wusa.ca. And have a great evening, everyone. I hope you don't have too much more studying to do, but if you do, I guess that's allowed.
And honestly, thanks for spending today is Thursday, right? I keep getting all my days mixed up. Thank you for spending your Thursday evening with us. I know we didn't get to see you, so sometimes it feels like we're just like up here having a conversation, but we really do appreciate you listening and getting more engaged with your student association. And if you did want to learn more about ways that you can become us, or just be involved in general and have some opportunities to make some big decisions on behalf of the student body, please send us an email. We would love to connect with you and have some conversations about some of the things that you'd like to see on campus and the best way to get there.
Awesome. Okay.
I guess that's it.
Have a good night,
Okay,
everyone.
bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody.